going to take as a...
Yeah, so how it's going to happen, we'll just take a few minutes, ask you the questions I sent you, probably 20, 30 minutes, then we'll open for Q&A, and then we'll wrap it up. I'm aware that you have a short time, so I'll keep it that in mind.
Yeah.
I don't take much of your time.
All right.
Yeah, awesome. So let's
Okay.
let's go into it. So you are much welcome. For the audience, His Excellency H.E.Lesaoana. Yeah, if I pronounce your name incorrectly, I apologize. I'm trying. Yeah. So
It's fine. H.E.Lesaoana.
yeah, he's a Minister of Youth. He's a Minister of Gender, Youth, and Social Development, all the way from the beautiful kingdom of Lesotho. So you are much welcome, sir. So for the audience, just to tell you what's the portfolio for the audience, these are young African leaders from all over Africa, young professionals, and we just share experience. We welcome high-level leaders like yourself on the continent to share their personal experiences and leadership experiences with the audience to provide a new platform for improved youth, but also ambitious youth for Africa. So you are much welcome. Just like the habit, mute, don't interrupt, and we'll have a Q&A for everyone to ask. So without further ado, would you like to share some words, opening words before we kickstart, sir? You're much welcome.
Okay. As I said, my name is H.E.Lesaoana. I'm from Lesotho. I'm the Minister of Gender, Youth, and Social Development. I'm really thankful for your invitation. I look forward to our Africa being reborn, and I hope we're going to have a very good deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This is a crucial topic, and the topic is, strengthening African governance system in the age of uncertainty, because governments all over the world are struggling to fix economic issues, are trying to fix health issues, are trying to fix security issues. It's a very critical moment across the world. It's not only in Africa. But let's focus on our mother Africa. To your experience, how do you define sustainable governance? What is sustainable governance, just for starters?
Well, sustainable governance to me is where governments and states all over are governing in such a manner that whatever we do today is there tomorrow. The sustainability factor of it. And it goes from empowerment to involvement of our youth in decision-making to investing in education, but education that is going to look at the needs of today, not the old traditional education.
Right.
Thank you.
Awesome. And just before we go into the question, because there is always a personal story in how you became a minister to that. Were you always ambitious? What school of thought helped you to build a profile? On average, you're actually one of the youngest ministers in Africa. You find ministers who are 70, 60, but on average, how do you orient yourself? What trainings? What belief system? Because it could be someone here wants to serve their country to the highest form of position like that. What helped you build your leadership qualities to stand out?
Yeah, well, generally I've been a person who's a very hard worker. I went to school. Okay, in 2003, I got my disability. I got a car accident, but that never stopped me. And in fact, through that car accident and that disability, I made it a point that I must succeed through my disability. So I left school and then I went into business, and I always wanted to excel. So I would say my business performed quite well. And it was in those times that I was in business that our party was born, the Revolution for Prosperity, the RFP. Yes, the party was born. And if you look at our party, it is made out of sort of businessmen and women, and also academics and whatever.
Yeah.
So I found myself to be, the party to me was, what can I say? I was aligning.
Right.
So immediately it was formed. I just joined.
Right. Right.
And I believe to become a minister, maybe you can say it's by luck, actually, from our constitution. To become a minister, you simply are chosen by the right honorable, the prime minister. That's
right. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But you see, like, you have a history. You went to business, you did well. So you stand out. So luck doesn't find you just not doing something. So it found you doing exactly, built leadership qualities that stands out. So it's very important that you're doing something, either in business, either in civil society. You're not sitting there. So awesome. Thank you for that personal story, sir. So what could be the foundations, like looking at the security apparatus of Africa, looking at the economic, looking at the social, and towards your portfolio? What are the foundations of effective governance? The pillars that promote effective governance. Yeah.
The pillars that would promote good governance would be, I want to concentrate more, I want to be focused more on the youth. Yes. Because I think the youth, that's where we have to put our focus. So
yeah,
if we can include them in decision making, they have the accessibility, they're empowered, and the accountability of governments. Also having a partnership between governments, civil societies, and youth. I think those are the pillars that would form a good governance, a good governing, a sustainable governance, actually.
Yeah.
Because with inclusivity, we mean our youth will be meaningfully participating in our decision making.
Yeah.
And also on accountability. I strongly believe with the youth of today, these issues of corruption and whatever, we can deal with them better because they are now in this, what do you call it, in this age of technology. Yeah. And with technology, we can deliver services better. With technology, we can arrest some of the ills that we have. So I think those are the pillars that we need for a sustainable governance.
Awesome. Accountability, youth inclusivity.
Yeah.
Those are very strong. Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah. And in your line of work, and relating to SADC region, maybe outside your country, what are some of the crucial governance challenges that are facing Africa in the 21st century that we should address immediately or later? But yes.
Yeah. If I'm to list them, be the limited access to education. Most of our African countries, the youth in African countries, they lack the quality education that is needed to combat issues such as poverty, and we have inadequate infrastructure. And the other problem that we have is the unemployment. The unemployment is very high in Africa, I mean, the African Development Bank has it that about 10 to 12 million of our youth, they come out of school ready to work, but then as countries, as Africa, there's only 3 million of work opportunities, the normal ones. So that disparity, you understand, if you take out about 10 million and you can only for 3 million, what about the rest of the 7 million? So that is another huge problem. That is why you see in Africa, it's not so difficult to see a graduate driving a taxi or a graduate selling in the streets. The other thing is the political exclusion. Our youth, there's a barrier of age, there's age restriction in our politics. And I think if we can change that, because it limits the representation of our youth in politics. I know I've talked about the corruption and the inefficiency. And then there's this social inequality, the gender disparities, the ethnic discriminations.
Yes.
We have to deal with that if we want to see an improved society. I mean, in our country, on gender disparity, what we are doing, we are in the process of mainstreaming gender in all ministries, where at the end of the day, you'd find we have a gender officer in every ministry, so that we can try to see to it that all gender issues are addressed.
Okay, perfect. And you talked about you talked about unemployment. Like in your portfolio, like in your office, what some of the strategies are you sharing, or drafting policies to cut down that unemployment for younger Basotho people in your country, like that some other African countries can take a leap from?
Yeah, well, in our country, when we came in, the Prime Minister was very clear. He was going to combat the youth unemployment. We have youth unemployment at, I'll take it over my head, but I think it's about 29 to 39% of our youth are unemployed. So we really developed a bit of strategies. Like, for instance, we have a strategy called, or a policy that called Sebabatso. We have youth entrepreneurship programs. We have some programs, competitive and financial inclusion. All these programs, they are meant to combat the youth unemployment, where in those programs you find we give seed financing. The youth would come with their ideas and everything, their business plans, and we facilitate funding so that they can go out and build their own businesses. In Sibabatso, one of the things we do is we find a small business and we try to find investors and see how they can help to grow such a business. So we have a lot of initiatives that we're doing.
Awesome. And something interesting in your opening speech, you said you are in business and you did so well in business. I'm sure you started business. What's the missing, confusion that we see? How did you venture into business? Like, did you venture business immediately after school, or you first worked and then you went to business? Because most graduates complain the lack of jobs, but you can create your own job. How easy, how realistic was it for you to venture into business, and some of the skills you used to thrive and succeed in business?
Yeah, well, for me, the story is a little bit different. My family was in business. My father was a businessman.
Right.
So we had a construction company. So I was already working every time when school closes, I was going to work there. But for anyone starting from, let's say, starting from scratch,
Right.
one of the things that you need is dedication. One of the things you need is hard work. And one of the things you need is discipline. You make a few, some of us, one of the mistakes we make is we get a project worth 100,000 baluti, let's say.
Yeah.
And then your profit comes out to be 20,000. You take all that 20,000 and you buy a very nice phone, and you don't have money afterwards. Whereas when you are disciplined, you have to understand that that money you cannot use for anything except building the business until it also brings something.
Right.
So when from the first profit, if you can learn to reinvest that, and then you can think about other things later in life. So discipline is one of the things, and financial intelligence or financial discipline.
Yeah. Awesome. Knowing to balance profits, losses, and cash flow, very important in a business, absolutely. And because you deal with these cases every day in your portfolio, what are some of the key misinformation or miseducation do young people have about one, making it in life, like becoming successful? What are some of the mistakes young people do that can really prevent from falling into a trap of chronic, I call it chronic unemployment. You find someone, the father is unemployed, the uncle is unemployed, the person is unemployed. It's like it falls like a cycle. How do you beat that cycle to become successful?
Yeah, one of the biggest problems, and maybe it's how maybe if I'm specific about my country.
Yeah.
For all this time, we have been taught, we go to school, we get our degrees, we get our whatever, and then government will employ us.
Correct.
Because that was what was happening. But our government now has a big problem of huge, what do you call it? A huge wage bill, whatever. There's too many employees, civil servants in the government. So that has gone away, that you go to school and then you come and get employed. So the biggest problem is still, especially with our youth, the confidence that with whatever skill that you come up with from school, and not even from school, wherever you learn that skill, that skill, you can build on it, you can develop on it. Many of them, they'll start to tell you, no, we don't have money. And I always tell them, like you say, I meet a lot of them. Say, it's not about money. Let's not talk about money. Let's talk about your idea. What do you think your idea would give you? What do you think your idea would take you? Put up a proposal. Give me your projections. What? And some of them, they don't even know what they're talking about. So I tell them, just dream. Just tell me, what do you want to be? Just that simple question. What do you want to be when you grow up? And then if you bring it into the business context, then you start to see that you can help them. It's not, and they start to understand that it's not about the money. One of the things, once they are in business, that I've seen is because maybe of lack of resources and whatever, and because of maybe lack of market, they would produce and then they don't know where to sell. And that results in many other things, such as they cannot pay their rents, they cannot, so the space is a problem, and they eventually have to shut down because they are in debt, they are, all those things. So as governments in Africa, I want to come to the regional relationship and cooperation. As governments, we have to see to it that we open the market. And I think Africa is doing that. You talk about the Africa Free Trade, talk about things like Youth Connect. We are trying to have the market open up so that the youth of today can thrive.
Absolutely, absolutely. So ideas, vision, most people think money is the problem, but even if you're given $1 million, you just probably buy the latest yacht, and the next weekend you'll be broke. But when you have idea,
yes,
you put it to action. So number one is not money, it's idea. And when you even see successful people around the world, they pursue ideas, they don't pursue money. Money is a result of ideas gone well. And you talked about regional integration, and that's very important because Africa is interconnected, and we're in like a quote unquote global village. How are the governments trying really behind the scenes? Because we could see Youth Connect, we could see the African Continental Free Trade Zone area. But what are the policies in place to implement these broad ideas, ambitious ideas? What are some of the policies at the regional level or continental level that but we may not know, that we can follow and see how it could be successful? Yeah.
That one is a little bit difficult for me. That one is a little bit difficult for me, but I think one of the policies, and I think we are already doing that. You will see at countries like Kenya and the others, it's this migration problem, which we can solve by opening our borders. We can solve by Kenya and others, for instance, they are abolishing the visa issue. So I think with that, coupled with free trade, like I said, this one is a little bit difficult for me. Can you pass that one?
Okay, no problem. No problem. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, but okay, let's go to the next phase of the quarter. My last question, really. Why do you think young people should embrace good governance, in your view? Why is it so important for them to embrace the idea of good governance?
Yeah, I think they should, because, our young people are the future of tomorrow. They are our agents of change. And I think in participating more in governance, and our youth, they have a lot of ideas. They have innovation, energy, and that's what I always say about them. They are risk takers.
Yes.
So proper representation of them in governance in this 21st century, I think, can assist in the growth of our economies. And the other issue is about accountability. I've already talked about it.
Yeah.
But the other issue, it's about the social justices or injustice, issues of human rights, issues of environmental sustainability and social equity. Our youth can advocate better on that, and if we develop policies that allows them to come in, I think that will help for them to embrace the 21st century governance. I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, no, I had muted. Sorry about that. Thank you so much, the Honorable Minister. So we will take a few questions from you, from the audience, to have. So if you have a question, raise your hand, There's a hand button, so you don't have to raise like this. So you can raise it on Zoom. Then ask a question. How many questions do you want to take? Do you want to take one?
A few.
Two? Yeah.
A few.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Also, Aliam, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, good afternoon, particularly our honorable guest, Minister Piso. Welcome the Young Africa Leaders Home. Welcome to your home. That's what I want to say. And we have great respect for you. And thank you, our President, Enoch, for your facilitation and invitation. I have one question. Thank you very much for your nice presentation and detail that you are giving and give for us about the common problem that we are facing and we face in Africa. My question is that since you are one of the high officials in Africa, how can we prepare a strategy to support the process of power decentralization and to promote the practice of local government, particularly by exercising the political activity in Africa, and to solve the common problem that we have as an African? This is what I have. Thank you very much, Mr.
My only problem is I write very slow. So if you can go a bit slower on the question.
Oh, can I repeat?
Yes, please.
Thank you. How we can, prepare a strategy to support the practice of power decentralization to the local community and to, support the process of local development by, exercising the political activity effectively to solve the Africans' common problem as an African's leaders. This is what I say. Thank you very much.
Okay. Are we going to take any other more, or are we taking one by one?
We can take another one. So any other person with a question, please? Okay, maybe you can answer that one as people prepare for another question. I think you can answer that one as we prepare for others becoming.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. How can we prepare a power decentralization?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that we can do from the from the main government. Then you can have from the main government. For you to decentralize power, what you have to do is from the main government, you have other local entities like councils and whatever, where you'll have councillors, you'll have DAs who will work in the communities. I think that is how we are doing it here. I don't know how it's done in other worlds. We have our main government, and then we have a local government, where the local government is led by the DA, and then from the DA you go down to, you have what we call councillors, who are working with the communities to engage the communities, and it is there where you'd find a lot of youth-led initiatives are being handled, and yeah.
Okay, perfect. So
I don't know if that answers enough.
Vedat, I'm sure his question, you answered it well. Yeah. Vedat, please ask your question.
Okay, thank you. First, I would like to thank
So you
H.E.Lesaoana.
introduce your name. You introduce your name
Okay.
and where you come from.
Thank you. I'm Vena Zawandura. I am a young change maker from Rwanda, and I would like to ask him this question. But first, I thank him again. So, we see that in many African countries, youth are not being included in government. So I would like to ask him what can be done so as we, the youth, can participate in government, and why the most African countries are not allowing young generation to participate. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I think to include youth in governance, which entails building things like youth councils and youth parliaments. If we can have youth parliaments where the youth are able to add their views, to advocate their issues, and from there we can have a relationship between, I mean, like for us, what we do here, we have the Ministry of Youth, and if you look at our structure here, the Ministry of Youth, there's a lot of youth that we have in here that I think promotes youth participation in governance. But the most important thing is those structures that mimic the main government, the main governance. Like I said, the youth parliaments, the youth councils. Even in our country now, we are developing one. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So youth councils, youth governance, because at the end of the day, the youth councils carry message for the collective youth. So drive a strategy. So working with the Ministry of Youth, to drive projects going further. Perfect. Mariama, please go ahead, ask your question.
Hi everyone, I am called Mairama Idrisu. I'm from Cameroon. I thank the minister in here with us. So and my question is, what are the key values of African leadership? I mean, as the one in as someone that has been in leadership, like what do we really need, like the key values for leadership? Thank you.
So, good question.
Can I go on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can. Yeah.
The key values of good leadership. It goes with the leaders themselves. The leaders themselves, they should be, the first thing is being a statesman. They should be a statesman, and their character should demonstrate that. They should be accountable to people. Their policies must be clear, and they should develop policies that are clear, and they should put the youth in the center of everything. I think those are the things that we need.
Yeah.
One of the things that we have to eradicate in Africa, it's the corruption that goes with power. So our leaders, they should really understand that they are here to serve and not here to enrich them, especially with the government pairs. I mean, those are some of the key issues that we should look at for having a good leader.
Great, thank you very much. Character, statesmanship. So you good representation of your country, and being accountable really is the foundation for good leadership. So there's one question in the chat. So someone saying, what would be your advice someone who started a business but losing hope because the business is not going as expected?
Can you repeat that? I didn't see the question.
Yeah, sure. So someone is asking a question like, what would be your advice to someone who started a business, but losing hope because it's not going as expected?
I think when business is not going well, you have to go back to the drawing board. You have to see what are some of the things that you are doing. Maybe it was going well before. What are the things that you are doing that that you have changed? Also, you have to look at the parameters around you. Where is the market moving towards? And you have to look at many other things. You have to look at, do you still have the market you used to have versus the employees that you have, or the staff that you have? Maybe you have to retrench. You have to look at the entire business. The first thing, which I always call a rule of thumb for me, is once it is not going well, try to see how to decrease your engagements in many other things. Look at those killer products that, I mean, let me make an example. If you are running a supermarket and all of a sudden you see that it is not going well, try to see which are some of the things that you have to let go. Try to see, maybe you are selling X and Y, but the Y is the one that's been profitable for you. Maybe you have to drop the X a bit, because putting that stock on the shelf for a very long time, you may not sustain anymore. So it's all about, in summary, it's all about reassessing your business, looking at those weak points, and bring it down a bit if necessary. One of the mistakes that people do is they quickly rush to banks and whatever and try to get the bailout. Even banks are better because they'll charge you better, but some, they even go to this high risk people who would loan you money trying to survive. I mean, you know, my business from the onset, I said to somebody, I remember my friends, they were having their offices in town and whatever, and I said, are you sure you're comparing yourself as a contractor having a business in a hotel? Because you have machines, you have cars, you have whatever, rather than having a land somewhere where it be cheaper and you keep it. So those are some of the things that you have to look at. You have to assess your business. And that assessment always is done. Let me put it simple. Just go back and redo a business plan, as if you're starting afresh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Awesome. Excellent. So Aine, then Josephine. Aine, then Josephine. Please ask your question.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes.
Okay. So excuse me. You, sir, you stated earlier that you stated earlier something very interesting that caught my attention. You said that most of the African youth were hoping for job from their government, and actually it's the case for Madagascar. So we can conclude that there are too much civil servants actually in the Malagasy government. And even if we applied decentralized power, we noticed that the government or the other section of the government are not performing well. So here is my question. According to you and your experience in terms of public governments, what could boost the administrative performance? Thank you.
I have to be a little bit careful that we are dealing with other countries, and I have to stay within my lane so that I won't be judged as if I'm criticizing other countries. But
Yeah.
if you see administrative problems, just like the first question, we are talking about business. The only thing is you go back to the drawing board. You go back to the drawing board, you see how your country was orientated. If it has been performing well before, you look at that and you ask yourself, what did we do wrong? And then you correct that. And sometimes it requires taking very serious decisions that are not so popular. But if you really want to change, then you'll have to take them. But I think the best answer I can give, if you have administrative problems in governments, go back to the drawing board, look where you're doing wrong, and see where you can correct or how. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So Josephine, please ask your question.
Okay, thank you.
How many are we still left with?
That's the last one.
Oh, I see.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, my name is Josephine Imegogena from Nigeria. My question is, I see the older generation have been ruling in my country. We've never had even for most African countries, we've not had a young person take up the leadership position as president. Would you say the older generation has made impact in have been able to do the right thing as much as providing a sustainable leadership pathway for young people? Or would you, with what is going on around the world and the older generation have been ruling, will you say that the young people are getting enough or better mentorship from older generation? Because if mentorship is there and without giving the younger generation or those you're mentoring the seats to climb or the opportunity to grow, then is it still mentorship? So that's my question. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, well, I see that you say the older generation had not been giving enough chances for the youth to climb the ladder. Maybe that's what you're saying, I think. But I don't want us to go back to history. Let's look at Africa today. Let's look at Africa today. You know, the youth of today, I think they are in a very good space. And if they can see that opportunity, the reason why this abolishment of visas, the Africa Free Trade, the Youth Connect, all these other things that are coming, that we are talking about now, and they're coming to fruition. The reason that is happening, it's because of the leadership at the top level that Africa has. And I want young people to take that, to take that as an advantage and to see what they can do with it. You look at our country, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Samuel Matekane, you look at the President of South Africa, the President of Botswana, President Mokgweetsi Masisi. If I go far afield, you look at President of Rwanda, President Paul Kagame, Kenya, President William Ruto. All those people, if you look at them, and it's a rare occurrence, but they are all leading at the same time. They have youth as an asset of Africa. They understand that. And they are there, they want to develop the youth. All these initiatives that are happening, they want to develop the youth. So it's up to the youth really to see that they climb the political ladder, to see that they are in governance, to see that economically they improve, to take advantages. I said they are very lucky because they are risk takers. It is in the court, because the leadership we have really believes that youth are the asset. They are the asset of our continent. So it's for them to take the advantage. And really, we should not be dwelling too much of the past. If the past has not been good, it's fine. It doesn't matter. Let's see what we have now and how we are going. And let's take the moment, because it is happening. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, wow. I couldn't agree more beyond that point, because power is not given, power is taken. And when you look at those leaders, the current leaders, they were also young. I don't think they were given power. They took positions where power became inevitable for them to have. So let's take leadership and be in that space where by any chance you are found like you are worthy to lead, you can lead. The problem is not actually position, but do you have the capacity to lead? That's the point. Because age, you might be young by biology, but you might be old by orientation. So it's about, what are your belief system? What do you want? Like the Honorable Minister said, what's your vision and what's your idea? So thank you very much. We won't keep you long. Any final comments, sir?
Thank you.
Yeah. Any final comments, and we can release you.
I'd written something to close with. I don't know if it, let me see. I said for us as Africa to have really achieved sustainable governance is when the human capital index of our youth improves and increases to a level of developed countries. This means they will have skills, education, capacity, and attributes of labor which influence their productive capacity and earning potential. Now, I normally close with the 3 words, Mozo, Pula, Nala.
What's the meaning?
Khozo is peace.
Yes, what's the meaning of also Nana?
Yeah, Khozo it's peace. Khozo it's peace.
Yeah.
Pula it's rain, and Nala is prosperity.
Oh, awesome. So, that's very good. Yeah.
In our country, we are peaceful people, and we believe in rain. Rain will bring us prosperity.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much, Your Excellency Piso. We appreciate your time. I know you have a very tight schedule, but thank you for spending a little time of your evening to share. Yeah, thank you very much. We can officially release you. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll talk. Thank you.
No problem, sir. Keep in touch. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure. To our audience today, we have a little bit of time to debrief about today. So don't leave. We have something to share with everyone. See. What do you make? What do you make of? What do you make? What do you make of the session? Because we have like more like 30 minutes. I wanted to share something today about factors of production. How do we utilize factors of production? Second, I want to share a concept on needs, wants, and dreams. But before we go into that, what do you think of the session, and what's your idea on that? Anyone with some, comments? Any comments? Oh, okay. Let me actually unmute. I think now you can mute yourselves. See. It's okay now?
Hello.
Okay,
Hello,
good.
can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Josephine. I'm quite in a noisy place, but then I'll quickly say what I have learned from the session. First of all, thank you very much for bringing the speaker. For the session, it was very insightful on topics related to democracy and Africa. I was quite busy, but more of what I got was that I should focus on the future and the now instead of thinking of what has been or the past rather. So it was very insightful, and I appreciate the speaker and the organization for bringing him up. Thank you.
Thank you. Grace? Yeah,
thank you. Okay, thank you. For me, it has been really insightful in that from the start, when you hear he said he got when he was already
we can't see. We can't hear you. Please.
Old things. So like big, they tend to give. Sorry, you can't hear me?
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's cutting a little bit. Yes.
Hello? I think my.
Yeah, we
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes, a little bit, but not. You can't. If you can't speak, feel free to drop your comments in the chat. I will endeavor.
Okay. Okay then.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So someone called iPhone, please put your name so that you don't miss attendance. Don't join with this generic stuff. You miss attendance. Yes.
Hello, good day, everyone.
Soldier.
Hello, good day, everyone, sir.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Hello. Okay. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, I can.
Hello, can you hear me, sir?
Yes. Please.
Yeah, my name is Ibrahim Isa Liu. I have tried to change to edit my name. I am so sorry. It is not responding. I don't know why, but I have explained that in the chat box.
Oh, so you just tell me to rename you. Your name is Ibrahim, right?
Ibrahim Isa Aliu. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's very simple.
Thank you. Thank you. I would like to give a very short and brief comment. Thank you very much, sir, for bringing this very humble person into our program, and we have learned so many things. out of the things I have learned, which I would like to make a little bit emphasis on is on the issue of the business he brought about. As youth in Africa, if you look at us, most of the youths in Africa who wants to fall into business always think that business doesn't take a very long time before you begin to make out profit from your business. But according to him, what I have learned is that you need to start small. After that, starting small, you need to, continue to build in by making consultations, consulting people. And when you are into business and you realize that you are not gaining anything, you have to look back, you have to check your plans, you have to consult other people, and you need to be patient. And by starting small, patience, consulting experts, definitely as a youth African leader in terms of business, you can succeed. So thank you very much. This is a small thing I would like to emphasize to the youth in Africa, according to the small thing I have learned from his own and very important lectures. Thank you, sir.
Awesome, thank you. And then let's be quick. Yes, sir. Yes, Sachu. Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. I'm Enoch from Ethiopia. Thank you, everyone. I'm really glad to be here, and thank you for all the delegates of Africa. So here I have two ideas. I think we have more than 30 years. I mean 30 minutes, so we can raise some issues, and we have to discuss in group here. So I have two critical questions for discussion, including your question, that is factor of production. So what is your point of view? Those university students, as a youth delegate, those university students are expected to have more than 3 and 2 years experience when they try to employ it in some organizations, especially in case of Africa. So those are students. They are learning more than 3 and 4 and 5 years, and they haven't any experience, right? But every organization in Africa asks to have experience, right? So what's your point of view? Those students should have an internship experience regarding with their experience, their attitude and work mentality. So you guys, please share your point of view here. So we all are leaders, we all are delegates for African youth, so we have to struggle for them. We have to struggle for those university students, because they should have and they should get access for internship and apprenticeship, right? So what's your point of view? I would be very happy to discuss here. The second one, you guys, do you think that every student from university, so like my question here is about students, because I'm a lecturer in university, so I'm concerned about them. So what's your point of view? Those university graduates, do you think that they should employ it first, or they should start their own business? So can you share us your point of view? This is my critical assumptions for today's discussion. Thank you very much, Enoch. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you. Good question. What do you think? I'll comment later, maybe. Isaiah and Elizabeth.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, who wants to go first? The lady first, then Isaiah.
All right, Isaiah.
Okay, please go ahead. Who wants to go first?
Can I go first?
Please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you so much.
the President of African Dubai, and everyone who is here today. So for sure, I've really learned a lot, and
Isaiah, we
from the
can't
session,
hear you.
I've come to realize that it all
Isaiah,
comes back to us, because you can hear me now. You can hear?
no, it's cutting a little bit. It's cutting a little.
Oh,
So if you can,
let me mute and then work on my network.
or you can, type in the chat and but let's go ahead. Elizabeth?
Sure.
Yes, hi everyone. Thank you so much. So I had a thought, about the session. For one, I was very impressed by his story of resilience, but then I was not impressed by his, I guess, just perhaps the work. I was expecting to hear more, as a minister of youth for a developing country. So why do I say this? In a way, it ties to Yezachu's question of what it means for the youth in Africa. So students, people that have not yet gotten some experience, what it means for them in the workplace. Now, he spoke about doing business. Just a quick Google search of ease of doing business in Lesotho ranks Lesotho as 122 out of 190 countries in the world. So as a minister, you come to say that your country is open to doing business. You table entrepreneurship as a true alternative to the youth. When you rank 122 out of 190 in the ease of doing business, is that truly an option? Now, I would be very happy for us to, when we have guests on on this platform, if we can have them give us quantitative data, not just qualitative things saying that we've done policy, we have 2 policies, something, with a fancy name and the other, reducing unemployment. What are the metrics that show that the needle has moved from point A to point B? We don't see that. So on that ground, I'm not truly impressed with. It just feels to me like the same crop of ministers that I can expect, even from my country as well. So I'm not like throwing blame at Lesotho or anything like that. So that's on one hand, right? On the other hand, you still table entrepreneurship as the way forward, but then you tell us that you have a legacy business in your family. What does this mean for people without legacy businesses in their family? Does this mean that there is no hope? You tailor infrastructure as one of the major challenges in your country. Who is supposed to fund infrastructure? Infrastructure is a critical work of a government, because infrastructure is the key factor that drives entrepreneurship. You mentioned you asked the question, you said, what are the factors of production? Yes, we know land, labor, entrepreneurship, and some other thing. I've forgotten the 4th one. But in this day and age of digitalization, we've gone past Adam Smith's theories. We have so much more to build on from where he was. We need to begin to talk about digital connectivity, infrastructural support, electricity, things like this. These are the main things a government is supposed to provide. So now that I've gotten that thought off my mind, down to Yazachu's question. I hope I'm saying your name right. I feel like I'm not. But could you tell me what's the right way to say it?
Which name?
Yazachu. He's a lecturer that asked a question about students' unemployment.
Yazachu, Yazachu.
Okay. So to your question, and it's so great to see a lecturer with a heart for his students. So what I did, I'll tell you based on what I did and what my friends, our group, we did. We studied, I'm from Nigeria, just for context. And, you know, I'm sure the ease of doing business in my country is even worse than in Lesotho. So we knew there's no hope for the government there, you know, from the government there. And we studied engineering, so we're engineers here. So we knew that getting into industry, and we don't have legacy family businesses, we knew that getting into industry will not be easy. We knew that already from like year 3 of university when we had to get internships. So what did we do? We did 2 things. The first thing we did was to say that, see, we have to leave this country by fully funded master's program. So that's the truth. Like, I'm being very plain and honest with you as a student that just graduated like a few years ago, how me and my friends worked this thing out. We're like, we don't have money for a master's degree. We need to get more knowledge. We need to get globally competitive. How can we do this? A master's degree potentially, or a PhD. Then we looked at all the exams that we needed. We looked at what rank, percentile we need to be in the world to get those funding. And I truly got, like, to be quite frank with you, I personally got 2 funded PhD offers in the US, in the Middle East. I got fully funded master's program. That was like my launch pad. So that was even how I got to leave. That was then what opened me up personally to global opportunities, to be honest with you. Now I work as a strategy consultant, advising governments in the Middle East, Africa, and India. That's what I do day to day. And the truth is that it was this master's degree that's, because the perception of Nigeria is very bad. So I knew I had to do something if I did not want to be in that space forever. And even yet, it's still affecting me upon all of that, but it's not as bad. The second thing we did was that the second group of people that were like, I don't really care much about, you know, further reading. We knew that industry, to get into industry, if we as engineers, we would love to do more engineering, but we might not be able to get in. So what we did was to say, okay, what are globally relevant skills that we might be able to transfer digitally? So some of my friends, some of my guys started doing like data analytic courses. This were not core to our curriculum. We were not writing exams on this, but we knew we needed to have the skills to get job after this school. So those were 2 things we did, quite honestly. So if the crop of college in Ethiopia are the same as in Nigeria, potentially that's what students would have to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for that. Margaret?
Hi, good evening, everyone. I had to switch my location because I have typed my question at the chat box. Like, this is my 3rd time and I don't get attended to. But basically, Elizabeth covered everything. I'm Margaret from Nigeria, by the way. So I think that makes us on the same pedestal, because the question I asked was about startups and the fact that he had little knowledge on, you know, starting up a business from the scratch and all of that. So I think Elizabeth kind of covered everything. And so basically that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So Elizabeth, you mentioned something about factors of production. So factors of production, even if like we are in a digital age, and the minister didn't mention that much, we are in digital age, but don't be deceived. The issue of land, the issue of labor and capital, and I will emphasize on land, because once you have land, you have everything. Now, 60% of African land is uncultivated. It is the biggest in the world, the empty land, free land. And when you see the so-called foreign direct investments coming into your country, they are not coming to do any other business. They are coming for your land. So please mute. If you mute, please mute. They are coming for your land, and you often see like big corporations coming, having rice schemes, taking over land, evicting people. I don't know much in Nigeria, but the little I know about Nigeria, you have these Chinese corporations taking. Now, yes, we are in a digital economy, but land is the prime of wealth creation. Bill Gates, the founder of internet, owns like 20% of the US land. So don't be deceived about land. Land is a real factor of production. And young people, it's sad that due to economic challenges and everything, young people are selling their land and coming to the city. That's a grave mistake. You know, they're migrating from the villages, coming to the cities. No one has taught that land is real wealth, is a factor of production. Corporations are running after your land. Like I'm well versed with Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, Tanzania. You find Chinese companies, so-called Chinese companies, coming, evicting people, you know, taking big swamps, big. Do you think when you lose that land, where is it? They know very well that land is the factor of production. You cannot begin an industry in space yet. We don't have that. So young people should understand, or everyone owns land. Please don't sell your land to come to the city. Look for the ways you can do something on land. Now, to the labor, even if there's a digital age, you need labor to function. You know, this is something that people who record like videos, podcasts, and everything, you need some cameraman to do it. You know, you need like editing, graphic designer, videographer. You need that. And the reason why I want to talk about labor, Africa has the youngest population in the world. Why do you think every corporation in the world is running to go to Africa? One, there's cheap land. Number two, there's cheap labor. So always labor is a foundation of growth. They know very well that in Africa you can employ thousands of people on $20,000 budget. So labor is very key. And when you look at our labor shortages, we are young people educated, but how do we scale up so that we have skills that are meant to fit the global challenges are coming, or to fit the new innovations are coming? That should be the question that we're discussing. How do we scale up? Because to be honest with you, most people are unemployed, but they are unemployable. Very, very lack of ethic, basic ethic. Even writing a report at work is very problematic, you know. So yes, we have a huge number of people who are unemployed, but are they employable? That's the question we should ask ourselves. So land, labor, then capital can always be accumulated. Right now, there is a serious war going on in Eastern Congo. The war is not in space. The war is on land. So don't be deceived that, yes, we are in a digital economy, so land is no longer important. Companies are fighting space. Right now, it has the Earth has been the competition on Earth is being too competitive. People are seeing to buy space on Mars. There's land. So right now there is war in DRC Congo. They're not fighting in space. Do you know why they're fighting there? Minerals. Where are the minerals? Minerals are not in space. Minerals are not in the digital economy. Minerals are on land. So how does Apple and these big tech corporations finance their industry and their business? It's on land. So they get cobalt from Congo. Cobalt is on land. So once you lose control over your land, you lose control over production, you lose control over wealth. So it's sad that we sign agreements that our governments don't even sometimes understand the implication. You know, there is a big swamp in Uganda, one of the central Uganda going on. This Chinese, it's a drainage swamp, so big, like crazy big. So the government contracted Chinese, and now they're growing rice on it, you know. And imagine where these guys taking over. So it's very important that we understand the value of land. If you have your land, don't sell it. Look for a way how to scale up. Do something on it. And the so-called cooperation and foreign direct investment, they're coming for your land, they're coming for our land. So protect your land is very, very key. Bill Gates, one of the richest men, owns half of America. He has land in every state. Why is he having such land? He knows that he is in the business of manufacturing vaccines. He knows he cannot manufacture vaccine in space. He need a plant. He need a plant. You huge land to build a plant, to build machinery, to build laboratories, to build, assembling ground. Look at the land that Elon Musk owns. He has a plant in Texas. It's half of. It's a huge land. So let's take care of our land systems, and everything will be. The question is not actually losing land. The question is, how do we utilize the land? How do we add value to the land? And then we can launch the digital space. But when we have a foundation, taking your land is crippling your foundation. You can have a camera, but when you don't own land, it's very problematic, because you need space. You need where to sleep. People don't sleep in space. They need people who are in the real estate understand this, that it's not actually, the value is not on the building. The value lies where you built the land. That's why they call it real estate, because it's the real source of wealth. So land is very key, as much as digital economy or digital connectivity is very important. And it's another biggest employer that we could venture into that. Yeah. Any other question, please? So someone is asking, when is the session ending? The session ends at exactly 30 minutes, 15 minutes from now, which will be half an hour, our total time, the usual time. But if the debate continues, please, you are welcome to continue the debate. So someone is, Ibrahim. You have a question? You have a contribution? We need to see many people speak. There are people I've never heard their voices.
Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Hello.
Please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, on hammering on these factors of production. Please, I would like to make 1, 2, or 3 points regarding some of the points raised by Elizabeth Abode. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, please, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, sir. My name is Ibrahim Isaliu. I'm right now a student, an MSc student here in Nigeria. I would like to raise, please, some points regarding what Elizabeth Abode said. According to what she said, it depends on how people look at it. She was saying that one of the ways that we get out of the problems that we are into in Africa, according to what she is saying, is by trying to, leave our continent, to go out looking for greener pastures. In summary, this is how I understand what she concluded was all about. But if you look at our program, African Rebirth Program, this is talking about African rebirth. How do we change our African continent? How do we change our African continent for the better? Right?
Yes.
Yeah, right. So I would like to hammer on some points about, like in Nigeria, where she comes from, we are suffering from, people leaving the country, living for greener pastures abroad. And this is coming from the youth. And the youth, they are the integral components of the society that should be involved in the development of every society. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sir? So what I am saying is that if the youth in the African continent follow the footstep of someone like Elizabeth Abode, the question I am asking is that who will be the right people to stay back and fight for the sustainable development of our country, of our countries, and our continent in general? For example, the brain drain that she talked about, we call it brain drain, leads to depletion of human capital.
Yeah.
The education system in our countries, as people, important people, especially the youth, as they leave the continent, there is a strain, there is increase in strain on our educational system in the continent. So who will be the right people to stay behind to build the educational system that leads to the development of our continent? It also has economic impact, like loss of skilled labors, because it is the intelligent people, it is the youth that are into education, it is the knowledgeable youth that are expected to have skilled labor. And it is through skilled labor that we can be employed. And after we have become employed, this can lead to, this can solve the problems of unemployment in our continent. And this can lead to sustainable development in Nigeria and Africa as a continent. So it all depends on the way you look at the concept.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
It hampers innovation. It hampers living our continent, hampers innovation. It interrupts entrepreneurships and the economic stability of our country and our continent. It also leads to dependency on the foreign experts. Dependency on the foreign experts leads to lack of autonomy, and lack of autonomy leads to, hello?
Please go ahead, yes.
Lack of autonomy can hinder the sustainability of development in Africa as a continent. Our healthcare system, if intelligent people are living, who will build the healthcare system? No one. There will be diminished capacity building. Yes. So these are some of the factors that, from my own point of argument, it depends on how you look at it. And looking at the background of of the aims and objectives of this program, African Rebirth is about making our continent developed, not only development, but a sustainable development. So I just bring out this point just to make sure that she should not take the entire listeners towards a different direction. This is how I perceive it, and this is how I feel. I also have the intention of, if I have the opportunity to go abroad to, acquire more knowledge and skills, but to come back to the country to see how I can develop my society and how we can put ourselves together, our energy and knowledge together to develop Africa as a continent. Not we leave and we don't come back. So this is the point I just want to make regarding her argument. Thank you very much. But it is a good argument, Shores. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think the question of brain drain is a huge factor. But
yes,
you can't, on a very honest basis, you can't blame Elizabeth. Well, you are not blaming. They are not blaming, but on her case. So the biggest issue we are having as a continent is political illiteracy, because everything rotates and rests on politics. And what do I mean by politics? Politics makes policies. Individuals don't make policies. For example, civil society organization, or even these NGOs, human rights, etc. They don't make, they just make notes. They don't make policies. But the state makes policies. So right now, the problem is not going abroad. It's not going abroad. But what is the mindset? Because let me tell you, even those most people in Africa think like when you go abroad, you have a better education. What is education? Let me ask. Education is to solve a problem. Education is to solve a problem. It's not having the best university degree from Harvard or anything. It's solving a problem. Now, for those who have gone abroad and interact, I did my undergrad in Canada at University of Toronto, specialized in political science. Now, there's a huge difference. The way the system, the whole setup of education system globally is a scam. Why do I call it a scam? Even at the best universities, University of Toronto is the top #1 school in Canada and ranked 18th or 20th in the world. But you see graduates from the University of Toronto, not so far from other universities. So it's not really where you go to school. It's about you personally. What are you educated? What are the skills you have? I went to school with so many young Africans, like we came to study. But right now, I think they have forgotten where they came from. So it's not about really the schools you go to. Well, if you go to the schools and you get network and you use it to your advantage, it may help you. And also there is this a thing. So okay, when you are abroad, you cannot contribute to your economic development. Says who? Let's go to statistics. The biggest foreign revenues Africans get is through remittances of the people who stay there abroad. Biggest, you have your auntie abroad sends you some dollars. You have everything. Actually, it's better. It's better than remittances from abroad to Africa. Is far 10 times better than the foreign aid combined. So it means countries would not even need foreign aid with a political organized society. There is no how many countries in Africa have an office for diaspora engagement. Very few, unless you want. The only way I have seen, because I interact with so many ambassadors here, the only way people get to know their home countries when, one, they want to apply for a passport, two, they're returning a dead body. That's when you know, hey, your country is important. But beyond, pain or anything, there is no formal structure that allows these people abroad or anywhere to contribute, on policy formulation. But even if they contribute, the policies in place are ridiculous. How do we then? It is to revolutionize the whole political system setup. That's how it can. So it doesn't matter whether a Chinese is in America, is in India, is in Uganda, is in everywhere. It doesn't matter. What it matters is what are you doing there and what are you producing, how much you're bringing into the country. So that when I bring a business or I bring an idea, there is room for it. There is an avenue for it. There is support system on it. It's important. It's everything begins from home. When we have correct political system that allows, that are purely interested in engagement on the African continent, we will see transformation. But even if you go abroad and come to the continent with the same policies and behavior, mindset, ideology, you get the same results. You won't contribute much. So let's turn around tables and have a correct ideological orientation. I call it ideological orientation. What is your orientation? What is your philosophy on wealth creation? What is your philosophy on governance? What is your personal philosophy for leadership? What is your personal philosophy for, ethics? That's what matters. And how do you deeply know about the world systems? Because you find people here with masters, PhD from Stanford. But a guy, for example, I'll give you an example. We're on a panel of some so-called elites. They were busy criticizing South Sudan for failing to organize elections. Now, you find educated person with a PhD in political science or international relations. And when they are sounding, they sound so big, they sound so scary. But You are saying South Sudan lacks rule of law. South Sudan lacks democracy. How can a country at war organize democracy? The bare minimum of security, is lacking. But you are busy saying, no, there is no rule of law in South Sudan. It's only in Africa that we criticize our countries from the first. We criticize methods of first world countries, trickling down to the developing countries. What we barely need. How do you say people need democracy when they can barely feed themselves? People are still living in the grass-thatched houses. People are failing to, they don't have even washrooms at home. You are criticizing them, they need democracy. Are you kidding me? In Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, during election time, people give $1,000, not $1,000, $1. Sometimes takes alcohol and goes to vote. You are our man. Political illiteracy is a huge problem, and these are policies driven that we can work on. An MP in Uganda, an MP in Kenya, he's a father-in-law. He caters for the burial expenses. He caters for school fees. He caters for whatever nonsense, alcohol. Like how, where in the world of people who will think, how does an MP become a burial person? When you lose someone at the village level, you call an MP honorable. We lost someone. So these are things that we could understand. What is our education system? What works for us? It's not about going abroad. You can go abroad and come back the same. You see, it's not about change of location. It's about change of the mind that matters a lot. So I'll stop there. I think, so if you guys are okay, it's exactly 30 minutes now. If some people want to leave, you are free to leave. If you want to stay for debate, please do. Yeah. I think Omoti, you didn't say anything. I'll give you a chance. Say something, please.